How you doing, guys? Tomato Sauce in here, and tonight on the Dragonflight beta, we're going to take a deep dive into the new features of the user interface that they've given to the gamers of Dragonflight. Right? So we're on the beta tonight, and let's get right into it. But before we do that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and about 80% of you haven't, why not? Press the button, right? It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and just shows engagement on the channel. We're trying to get to the 1,000 sub goal. So if you do like the content, it doesn't cost you anything. Just click that sub button and get me one closer. I appreciate you. Let's jump on in to the UI demo on Dragonflight beta. All right, guys. So as you can see, initially the game menu, right, has changed up. And before we even go into this, we can see, right, you've got some new designs here. The griffins are different. The mini map is different. But let's jump back in to our game menu. So the game menu has changed a bit. And in order to get into either system or interface for your keybinds, we're actually going to click options now. So options, you're going to have your graphical settings under system, audio, languages, network. Let's go into graphics really quick because there are a couple cool features here. You can change your field of view. I prefer to keep it at max. You can change your UI scale, which I know is really big in the arena community. The only thing I don't like about this is that you can't type in a specific number to change your UI scale, and it, kind of predetermined moves, right? So it would be a little bit nicer if you could change your UI scale, just a little bit more precisely. But I know you arena guys are going to love this option in the graphics menu, right? Now you have your graphics quality, and then you also have your raid graphics quality. And let's click this drop down, right? So when you click your raid graphics quality here, right? And let's say you want to change the settings in a raid, it'll automatically, adjust your raid settings, or you can kind of do it, yourself. If you know that the shadow quality really kills the FPS on your system, right? You could take that all the way down to low in raid. I just think it's really cool that you can have graphics, right? Outside of raid, one set of settings, and then inside of raid or battlegrounds or arena, right? Another pair of settings. So at that point, if you just want to fly around, look at the world in high detail, and then when you go into areas of the game where you really need, your graphical performance to be at its highest, you're able to have two different settings configurations for both of those kind of scenarios. So I think that was a really cool add in the Dragonflight beta. And your audio settings, these are all pretty normal. They're just presented to the user in a different way. I really like the new top-down approach that they put together for the Dragonflight beta. Languages, network. Under network, you can also enable advanced combat logging. So if you have any, integrations with Warcraft logs or SimCraft, you're going to want to opt into advanced combat logging. Now, if we go down to gameplay, again, in our controls, that same top-down view that is a little bit new to Dragonflight. Here's where you're going to be able to, turn on your auto loot, change your mouse if you have any custom settings here. I know some people like that inverted mouse. I could never get behind it. And also your camera settings. This is going to be one that is annoying to find. It's the last option under controls, and a lot of people do not like when the camera moves, especially if you're somebody that kind of controls your character with both mouse buttons. I always go to never adjust camera, right? Save that bad boy. Now, if we go down to our interface, this is where you're going to have all of your, your nameplates options. I like running with larger nameplates personally. Overlapping or stacking nameplates. Could never get behind the stack. And here's where you're also going to be able to enable your action bars. So if you play with, multiple action bars, you're going to enable them here, right? It's also where you're going to enable some combat features like target of target, scrolling combat text, etc. And then you have some display here where you can kind of rotate that mini map depending on which way you prefer it to be. you know, or you just keep it the standard way, right? You can turn off tutorials, all that kind of stuff here. Um, Here's your raid profiles. You're going to see there's a couple pieces of the raid profile puzzle missing, but we'll get to those soon. You can actually still save profiles here. So if you're somebody that used raid profiles, which you're probably not, because I think I might be the only person dumb enough to use this and not use add-ons, but you can actually save your raid profiles here. Then social, you know, all the typical social settings, and key bindings. Key bindings has changed up a bit. I don't like the order that it's in here, but you know, at the end of the day, it's not too difficult. I wish the action bars were together, right? So you have your main action bar, then your multi-action bar down here, and then your targeting is down here. So, you know, if you wanted to like change your arena frame, your arena targets, I always do mouse wheel up for target enemy 1, mouse wheel down for target enemy 2, and then I click my middle mouse for target enemy 3. That functionality is the exact same. It's just presented to the user in a different manner. And I kind of wish they would let, you know, us change the order that these show up here. But, you know, it's not too crazy. Now under the accessibility tab, that's where you know, you can stop your screen shaking, enable colorblind mode, or even opt into like text to speech. So if you're a little bit hard of sight, you know, you can do that kind of stuff with voice chat. So that's pretty cool there. Now let's go into the meat of this demo today, edit mode. Now immediately when you click edit mode, you're gonna get a rush of different add-ons hitting you, right? So immediately you see Leatrix, Move Anything, and they've done a great job of integrating a lot of the baseline features in these add-ons, but I do think they missed the mark on a couple places. We'll get there as we get to them. First, I think the best thing that they've ever done in the game, when it comes to a UI perspective, I've always had to use add-ons for this, and I really prefer the baseline, you know, party frames and raid frames in the game. I just hate changing the settings all the time. They've separated your raid frames and they've separated your party frames. So you don't have to use raid style party frames, but you can, right? And they made it much easier to move all this. You can either enable snapping or go with, you know, no snapping. I prefer to go with no snapping, but that's you know, over here, right? You can show the grid or not show the grid. I'm a little OCD sometimes. I prefer to show the grid just to kind of get, you know, within the realm of being, you know, kind of symmetrical. I know I'm not symmetrical, but let's just say kind of symmetrical, right? So immediately though, what you can see in party frames, you can change the sizing here to be completely different from your raid frames. And I think that's huge. You can, you know, keep the groups together or, you know, have more of like an LVUI style view. Me personally, I don't really care how the raid frames are set up. I just like them to be kind of away from me because the only time I'm jumping into raid frames is battlegrounds, you know, or a raid setting. And since I'm not healing, I just need to know if people are dead or alive, you know, or random debuffs on a you know, on a random mythic raid. But I don't need too much information. A healer needs a lot more. But you know, if you were somebody that ran that like an LVUI where your healing frames are right in the middle of your screen, you could do that, right? So a lot more flexibility between raid and party frames. However, where I think they missed the mark is, you know, they could have taken some features like Omni CC's features or Arena Team Tracker, if you're more comfortable with that add-on, where you could actually see your party's cooldowns, right? So you can actually see their abilities and their cooldowns on the left side of the party frame, right? So they did a great job of bringing in like the base versions of Move Anything and Leatrix. But if they, in my opinion, if they go a little bit further here, they'll really have a win. You know, being able to like opt into showing party cooldowns, more debuffs on the frames, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, I do a lot of arena personally when I play the game. So I'm more, you know, in line with the needs of that community. But just seeing these being separate has been a big win. Now you go over to buffs and debuffs, and another win here for the arena community. You can actually change the icon sizes of these debuff frames and your buff frames, as well as the padding. So, if you want them a little bit more spaced out, you can do all of that. I kind of have these the way I like them. They're a good size for me here. So I'm just going to bring that back. Now, on arena frames, not enough options here. They need to bring in the ability to actually customize the cast bars, change up the sizing of the individual frames. And if you're not going to give us the 5s bracket, don't tease us with showing us the 5s bracket in the arena frame UI. This was so close to being a win and being able to like replace S Arena, for example, or Gladius. But there's just not enough customization here. Hopefully that comes out in a later beta build. That'll be huge though. If they can dive into arena frames deeper, and really just give us these last little customizations between party frames and arena frames, this will have been a complete home run, because I love how much flexibility you have out of the box here. And speaking of that, right, let's go look at another add-on we can not download anymore, Bartender. You just have, all the flexibility of Bartender. You can set up your bars any way you like them. So if you're somebody that, really likes using like a Razer Naga style mouse, and you like that visual presentation of the buttons, because it just makes it easier for you to understand what you're clicking when you're clicking it. Here you go, right? You have the ability to do that right out of the box now. So some very, very cool adds here. Again, right, you can change the rows, you can change the sizes, you can change the number of icons on a row. So you can do some pretty cool stuff here. I like to stay a little bit closer to default. That's going to be a recurring theme that you see with me. I just like the classic feel of the game, but I do really like these new bells and whistles that they're introducing to us on the Dragonflight beta, even to the point where I almost wish in Wrath Classic this was like an opt-in, use. So you don't have to use this. You could use the classic version, but you could also use the new version of the UI. I like it that much. So that's all the new items with the bars. Between key bindings and all the different customizations you have with your action bars, unless you needed more action bars than what they give you the ability to have, which Bartender does, you wouldn't need to download an add-on like Bartender. Me personally, I can get by with the 5 action bars. So I'll never need that add-on again, and I love it. I even think it's really cool. So like if you like Hunter, or even Elisham or Unholy DK, right? Any of the pet classes, you can even increase the icon size of your pet bar and make it like a regular bar, right? So I always hated the little pet bar. Could never really see what's going on there. I've always had it super key bound up. And now I have the ability to make it the same size as my other action bars. So I think that's a really cool add there. But yeah, the HUD edit mode, I think is an absolute slam dunk. One thing that isn't working yet, eventually in a later beta build or live build, it looks like they're going to give us the ability to share our HUDs, which I think is really cool. So you'll be able to, post them in chat, and I assume this will give a clickable, like a similar to like a weak aura, right? Like a clickable download here in chat. It's not doing that yet. Or you could also, right, copy it to clipboard and share it online. And I'd imagine that'll eventually give you a URL. This isn't working yet either, but I already reported these, so I'm not going to report them again on the video. But yeah, great job, Blizzard. I think the HUD edit is really a home run. You just need a little bit more, a little bit more customization on your arena frames, and the ability to bring in, to track more things on your party frames. So your team cooldowns, their abilities, your abilities, etc. And then give the user the ability to actually anchor them on the left or right side of the frame. This is information that in the current state of the game, you need, right? Healers need it, other DPS need it, the tanks need it, and if you're in an arena, your whole team needs it. So bring it in, clip another add-on off, right? That we won't have to download in order to play the game at the highest level. So this was the deep dive into the Dragonflight beta HUD. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. I hope Blizzard comes to the table and allows us to get a little bit more customization in our arena and our boss frames. I mean, even the use larger frames, right? I didn't even realize this was here. But if they go to use larger frames on the arena frames, you know, it'll get us halfway there, right? One of my biggest gripes is that we can't resize these items individually. But if we could just make them larger for arena, right, that would be a baby win. But yeah, they've done a great job. And again, we're only in the beta, so a lot can change. Guys, if you like the video, if you like the content, once again, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more deep dives on Dragonflight beta. And don't worry, Wrath of the Lich King fans, I have not abandoned Classic. It's just when you get beta access, you got to dive in and see what's going on in the future of the game. So once again, guys, have a great night. I'm going to take off. I'm going to pass out. Tomato Saucin' out. Thank you very much for watching the video.